The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
Koby Altman and the rest of the front office have been extended with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
The Cavs extending Koby Altman and the rest of the front office to new contracts. They are going to be around for the long haul. I don't think that this was ever something that was in question. Obviously, these guys not on the hot seat. They've done a very, very good job into building this team from what it was when LeBron was here last time through a rebuild and now back into a championship contender. But first thought, when you saw the Shams Charania notification come through, what were your first thoughts there?
Well, I think it's well-deserved for Koby Altman and his front office to be extended this way because of what they've built and how, honestly, quickly they turned things around. So we know that Dan Gilbert was not very kind to the GMs previously, as far as extension goes, as far as just keeping them around for more than 4 years, 3-4 years, whatever it is.
So I believe Koby was the first, not executive, but lead decision maker.
Yeah.
To have multiple or to get a contract extension under Dan. I do not believe that any of the guys that were running basketball operations previously before Koby under Dan Gilbert received contract extensions. It was kind of like you did your contract and then, you know, David Griffin was gone and Chris Grant was gone. And of course, some of these ended on different terms than the other ones, but Koby has been really, since Dan Gilbert bought the team, Koby and Mike Gansey, those guys have been pretty solid foundationally for the Cavs, just like consistency. And I think that is something that you cannot take for granted organizationally.
And I think it's the connectivity and it's just everyone being on the same page that's really important. And that's why you see the incremental growth year by year with this Cavs team over the last 3-4 years. It's not as fast as people want it to happen. And yes, they fell short this year, but there is progress as we've gone along, and it comes through the development with all the other talent too. But even acquiring guys in off seasons past, that has led to this point. And I think a lot of trust is being put into these guys. You said it, Koby Altman, Mike Gansey. We also have to shout out to Brandon Weems and John Nichols and Jason Hillman. They got extended as well. So it's a lot of the people that have been around and running the ship here for a while. And I think it's a good thing. And I think when you're on the same page with everybody in the front office, down to the coaching staff, down to the players, it makes for a really solid environment.
And those guys that you all mentioned, all 5 of them, are extended through the 2030 season. So this is a 5-year contract extension, if my math serves me correct. This is a very stable part of the organization. I think it's a very good thing. And listen, I've not agreed in real time with every move that Koby Altman has made. I was actually talking with somebody at Summer League about some of the moves that he's made that maybe weren't super popular when they were made. Like, for instance, when the Cavs acquired Lauri Markkanen, I did not think that was a good move. And time again, nobody bats 1,000 in these types of situations. Like, Koby Altman has not been perfect. You know, this front office has not been perfect, but I don't think that they necessarily get the credit that they deserve, because they've done a lot of really good things, both in terms of building up and acquiring great talent, but I think they've done a lot of really good things on the margins too. And I think that is one of the areas where they're really going to have to shine moving forward, is on the margins, because yes, it's hard to find championship caliber star players. Like, acquiring a Donovan Mitchell is not an easy thing to do. Drafting an Evan Mobley and developing him, not necessarily an easy thing to do. Like, that pick could have gone wrong. They could have picked Scotty Barnes instead of him, or Jalen Suggs instead of him, and they didn't. They got it right. Drafting Darius Garland, they got it right. Now, we could also say maybe Isaac Okoro wasn't the right pick at number 5 overall, but they've done a good job both there. They've done a good job in the trade space. Like, acquiring Jared Allen was a fantastic move. I think one of Kobe's best. But they've also done a good job on the margins. And when I look at that, I think of, okay, well, Sam Merrill just signed a deal, 4 years, $38 million, but you got him because he was the first overall pick in the G League draft to Cleveland, to the Charge a few years back. And then he's on a 10-day, and then he's got another 10-day, and then it's multi-year deal. And now he's on, a real NBA contract. Dean Wade, Craig Porter Jr., like they have done not perfect in all avenues, but I think they have been an above front office in just about every single aspect of decision-making. And that shouldn't be taken for granted.
No, not at all. I think that there's definitely an archetype that this front office likes too, that they trust their process through. And a lot of people have been clamoring for the whole wing thing, the bigs and all that. And they're justified in it. But I think you go out and you get a DeAndre Hunter last year, right? That's your wing that you probably have been searching for since Markkanen's been gone. And then you go out and
I think since LeBron has been gone.
Well,
because I don't look at Lowry as that type of player.
Well, there you go. But
he was a big masquerading as a wing.
Sure.
Right. And I think that they have been searching for that. And to what you're getting at here, patience is a really hard thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
And they have had patience, but they've known when to act. And that's a really tight needle to thread.
Yeah. And I mean, even looking at bringing in Larry Nance Jr. this year, okay, like that you have an issue that you don't have a third big or someone that's playable when Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen are either hurt or they need some air to breathe and just have somebody go out there for 15 minutes to just be able to play. And I think they're very self-aware in that instance. I don't think there's a stubbornness about this front office. I think that they're very meticulous. I think they do not want to overreact too much. They don't want to underreact, and they pick their spots.
Yes.
That's what I've noticed about this front office over the years is that they are not a Phoenix Suns. They are not a Brooklyn Nets. They are very much so. They're proactive, but they're not too reactive.
They've not tried to microwave success.
Correct.
They've not tried to, and Phoenix has tried that. Brooklyn tried that. And listen, if you are, we could talk about what Phoenix gave up for Kevin Durant, but if you have the opportunity to acquire Kevin Durant, you do it. The same thing for Brooklyn. So I do feel some sympathy for those organizations.
The Rockets are in that category too now.
The Rockets are in that category as well. And there's a common player in that thread. But what the Cavs have done, I think, is they've known when to make those bets, right? Because the Donovan Mitchell trade, and I've been saying this since the day they traded for Donovan Mitchell, the Donovan Mitchell trade was not a bet on Donovan Mitchell. That was a bet on Evan Mobley. But as soon as they had seen enough from Evan Mobley, which at that point, after 1 year in the league, you just knew, okay, this guy, maybe he's not going to win an MVP, and we don't know if he will or not, but he is a future defensive player of the year. You can check that off. He's a future all-NBA guy. You can check that off, going all-star, all the stuff, right? I think they knew very early on with him that that was going to be the case. So they knew, okay, this is the time to make the bet on him. And of course, you need to have somebody available that fits. And Donovan Mitchell was that guy, and you got him for the right price. And that really, I think, when I look at the best moves that Kobe has made, and maybe we'll do this next segment, but that certainly is one of them. Like, I look at what he did in acquiring Donovan Mitchell, not just because the Cavs needed a superstar, and Darius Garland is awesome, and he was an all-star here before Donovan got here. But I think it's fair to say that Donovan is a different level of superstar than Darius, and has been. Like, he is a different type of guy. And knowing how to acquire that player and when to acquire that player is a challenge in itself. And that, I think, is probably the biggest move that Kobe got right, but there have been a lot of them that he has gotten right, that he deserves a lot of credit for. And really, when I say Kobe, I'm not speaking specifically only about Kobe Altman here. Like, this is about Mike Gansey and John Nichols and Brandon Weems and Jason Hillman. Like, that group, I do think there's a lot of collaboration in this front office. This isn't Kobe Altman is deciding to do everything, and those guys are along for the ride. That's not how they operate. So I think this entire front office deserves a lot of credit for all of those things.
You've got to all be pulling in one direction. Again, it's about being on the same page. It's having the same goals, knowing how to communicate with each other, and being connected top to bottom. And that's what the Cavs have been literally the last 4 or 5 years.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I'm using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the apps keep it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. I made a little money off an early round play at Wimbledon, for example. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride in the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I am part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Let's throw out the age-old question as to whether or not the 76ers can stay healthy during the regular season when they can't even, Keith, stay healthy in the offseason.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast.
Sixers also put out a comment on it as well when it comes to Paul George needing off-season surgery, arthroscopic surgery on his knee for an injury suffered during his off-season workouts. Keith, I believe you could confirm this. We can't have nice things, can we?
No, we can't. We can't. And yeah, he had surgery yesterday. Now the good part is, from what I hear, is it was just a going in there cleaning. They didn't really deal with major ligaments in the knee or anything like that. So it's basically, he had it scoped out, cleaned up a little bit. But the bad thing is, to me, is one of those things where, we know he had knee problems since the preseason with the 76ers, right? Last preseason. And here you go, you're still having problems, and you had to get it, scoped. So a guy's 35 years old, it could mean nothing. But at the same time, like you said, we're still talking about injuries with the Sixers, and especially a couple of days after Daryl Morey came out and said that essentially all three of his big three, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, need to be healthy for them to be NBA championship contenders. So this is something that you do not want to hear, especially from a guy who missed 41 games last year and 74 games during his tenure with the Clippers.
Yeah, also a guy coming off statistically his worst career year in about 8-9 years. So None of this is adding up well for the Sixers. And look, we got this out of the way yesterday. We talked about Daryl Morey's comments, and we talked about how, you don't have a chance unless Joel Embiid and Paul George are healthy. And then literally the Monday following the weekend that he made those comments, Paul George is going under the knife. Now, my first thought when you see the arthroscopic surgery and you're going, okay, it's probably a scope, you're cleaning it out and all that. But still, as you mentioned, Keith, you're talking about a 35-year-old with injury history issues throughout his NBA career. You're also talking about, $51.6 million owed just this year. Yeah. Goes up to $55 million, I think, next year. And then you got the player option. Not to mention Joel Embiid barely stepping onto a basketball court. Oh, and then there's also this. VJ Edgecombe, what's going on? What is going on with that? We'll get more specific into that in a second, but we don't even know. We hear from Daryl Morey, it goes from the thumb contusion to the thumb sprain. Then Daryl Morey throws the word wrist in there, and we're like, is this spreading? Is it going to be the elbow next week? Is it the shoulder? Like, the injury issues here with the 76ers are just mind-numbing, and I have no idea how the 76ers can inspire any confidence whatsoever from the fan base when they have no idea what they're buying for the upcoming season, other than the pretty good hunch that the Sixers are going to go through another injury-riddled season. And the unfortunate thing, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no first-round pick to tank for this year.
Yeah, and you know what? The big thing that really stood out with what you said, and before I say that, I want to make sure I had it right, get it right. He missed 127 games during his 5 years with the Clippers, not 170. That'd have been crazy. But anyway, so here's the deal. The thing that really stood out to me, what you said was, you say you think of a scope, and we hear about okay, a scope isn't bad. People saying he just needs to get cleaned up. But when we go back to what was said about VJ Edgecombe, at first it was just a bruise. And then all of a sudden it became a sprain. So when there's lack of transparency, people tend to always assume the worst. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that little boy that cried wolf. And Absolutely. Then you're like, oh, no, he's crying wolf. And then it's like, no, this is for real. Nah, man, stop playing. And we know, you know what I mean? So right now it's like you don't know what to believe, and you want to believe it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, let's wait and see. And it's been the same thing with Joel Embiid. Like, hey, Joel, everything is fine. Then all of a sudden you find out there's knee swelling. He can't play, this and that. So yeah, this is the problem right now with that. But you look at it and you got to say to yourself, what's going on? Like, this is a reoccurring thing. It's always someone's getting hurt. You can't go 3 months without something happening. Now here, you can't even go a couple weeks without anything happening. So it's disappointing. And this isn't the way that you want to head into a season, regardless of how minor his surgery is. This isn't a way you want to go into the season.
Yeah, trust issues. I can understand that with the fan base. Trust issues when it comes to the 76ers. And look, I understand you're not going to come out and talk about everything with every injury and give every little detail on everything, but just be real about what the amount of time that could be missed by a player. For instance, you mentioned Joel Embiid, and that's the easiest one to go to, but you're talking about in history, you're talking about the whole Brian Colangelo didn't tear his meniscus. Okay, wait, he did tear his meniscus, and then he's out for the rest of the season. Or even before they put him out for the season, they still play him on that for a national game against James Harden and the Houston Rockets, and then he's done after that. You talk about Joel Embiid going to play in the Olympics after having surgery, playing in the Olympics, winning a gold medal, then coming back, and he's not ready for the start of the season. Whatever they tell us, you're right. We always assume the worst because this is just the tip of the. It's like, a kid breaks a window and they come and tell you like, well, I kind of just cracked the window a little bit, and you go, what? And then you walk in there and the window is just completely blown out, and you're going, why did you just tell me it was this bad? But instead, the information just leaks out.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, like, even think about it. Daryl Morey yesterday, a couple of days ago, he had that comment. And again, he had the comment like, we feel really confident about Joel, starting the season. And then all of a sudden there's an athletic report saying he has not been on the court. Well, then it basically came out and said that, well, he wasn't a full participant. But again, this could be semantics on what level he's doing stuff at. Right. But at the same time, it was one of those things where it was just a bad eye for Morey, and maybe he was saying everything right, but people just always assume. And I hate to repeat what you say, but it's just one of those things that right now the Sixers just have to build trust. And here's the thing I want to say about Paul George. When Paul George first came here, he talked about wanting to be like a closeout guy, a guy who could take some of the pressure off of Maxey, take stuff off of Embiid. And then all of a sudden, it's like he misses 41 games. And amid that time, he comes back out and says, all I have to do is get healthy and you guys can see what I can do. And now all of a sudden he's injured again. And now we're looking at it as if like they gave up all this money, like you said, for him. And is Paul George actually going to be a guy who can be a difference maker? Or did they give a lot of money to an often injured guy who's no longer able to complete a season? And, you have to wonder that, Mark. You do, because as much as if he's healthy and if he's playing at a level, he can help you. But right about now, we haven't seen it. And the 1 year that he played well, 2 years ago, was a contract year. And we all know that in every sport, there's always a guy busting their tail during a contract year to get that next payday. So the main question is, who is Paul George really going to be now? The banged up dude, or is he going to be the guy who's playing at an elite level?
Yeah. I'm betting on the banged up dude. I'm not rooting for it, but I'm betting on it. And I hate to put that out there. If you're being real, if you're being real, like what's your educated guess here? What's your hypothesis with all the evidence that's been put in front of you as to whether or not Paul George and Joel Embiid are going to be healthy this season? And Paul George is going to be that closeout dude. He's going to be the guy to take pressure off Maxey, and maybe if Embiid's out there, pressure off him too. What in all honesty, the hypothesis is, oh yeah, no, that's not happening. the outlook on the Sixers is grim. And I don't want it to be. I want to see a parade, Keith. I want you to cover a parade for the Inquirer. I want to be down there interviewing people, just partying, having myself a great time, celebrating the 76ers. But it's not going to happen soon.
Dude, I just want to cover a conference championship. That's what I just want to cover a conference championship. Like,
I'm gonna yeah. That's look at you. I just want to cover shit. That's all I want.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Look, they're saving you money already.
Flip does it again in Vegas.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz.
Last night, Jazz played San Antonio, best game of the Summer League, stirring finish, awesomeness, and Flip, as we talked about all day yesterday on the show, dominant again. 35 points, 11 rebounds. He did have a single assist and a steal, no blocks, and awesome outing. Not against a particularly big team, right? Like Carter Bryant, Minix, Ingram, Harper got most of their minutes, and then Jones Garcia, who's been really good as well in this summer league. I'm all fired up on what's going on with Flip. I'm all fired up. Like, it's all good. Okay. And you know, the thing I said yesterday on the show is what's going to happen with his 3-point shooting. And he busted out 5 of 8. So now for Summer League, he's at 36%, which is kind of exactly where he's going to have to be in his NBA career. His free throw shooting last night, he had a pretty okay night at the line. I think he's now at 73%, which was, you know, a problem last year. So he's gotten better there. Last night at the line, he was 8 of 12. Poor Cody missed those 2 both late. Super good. Like, Kyle's been the best dominating offensive player of Summer League. There's no downside to that. The excitement of last night's game, I felt like got people to jump a little too far. And I just want to point out 1 or 2 things to maybe temper a tiny bit of excitement. So the kid in the game for David Jones Garcia plays 27 minutes last night. He has 28 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, kind of matching Flip to some extent, though Flip was probably more dominant. But I mean, like, that's a guy that's just not been in the NBA. Like, he's a 6'4", 23-year-old. There wasn't a lot of size in last night's game, right? That's the other, you know, aspect of things here in this game. Riley Minix is 6'7", hasn't played an NBA game. Like, there's a little temper some of this tiny bit, I guess, is what I'm saying today. Like, the only thing Flip can do is play the players that are in front of him and dominate them, and he has done a masterful job of that. It felt to me a little bit like the internet, rightfully so, it was that exciting a game, and some of the reporting went to, like, he should start. And I thought that was a jump. Drew Timme is not probably an NBA player. Awesome dude, great player at Gonzaga. Probably not an NBA player because he just, despite being 6'10", 235, and he spent time with the Wisconsin Herd and the Long Island Nets and all this, he doesn't defend well enough, move well enough to be an NBA player. He had 30 in a Summer League game the other night. So I just want to make sure that we are keeping in context the setting by which this is taking place. Now, the only place Kyle can dominate right now is Summer League. And the fact that he's dominating Summer League is awesome, right? Like, that's awesome. But before we make the next jump, let's realize that Drew Timme is also dominating Summer League. If you understand, does that make sense? Like, in fair, and I'm not trying to minimize what Flip's done, because his opportunity right now is what he's doing, and he's killed it. And he's a great offensive player, and he has NBA offensive skills, and it's super. And we talked about it yesterday. He's dominating. I think he's going to turn out to be the steal of a terrible draft. But I don't want us to take like the next. It felt to me like a leap got taken last night in the excitement of the game, which is great because it means we're fired up and it's exciting and there might be an open spot there. But we're playing center in a summer league without big guys. And at this point of a summer league, really without big guys, and Flip's dominating. And he should, and he is. And that's great, because if he's not, that's much more concerning. So I'm a little bit on Summer League, a believer that it's better place to find out who's not doing something. So the fact that I watched Reed Shepherd seriously struggle in the second half of the game the other night in the Houston game, and I can't remember who they were playing. If I'm a little concerned if I'm the Rockets with the amount of minutes he's got to play. We can go to our own guy. Like Isaiah has not had a very good summer league. A little disconcerting, right? Like it doesn't have to just be somebody else's players. A little disconcerting. If Cody hadn't had some of these games on this, he wasn't great last night, but he is taking 13 shots. If Cody was coming out of summer league and taking 3 shots a game, I'd be concerned. So the number one thing is honestly in summer league is like the amount of shot attempts you take is the best indicator of kind of what then translates to where you are in the NBA. 35 and 11. Flip was awesome. He was awesome. And he has been awesome offensively. And I did the whole show on it yesterday. So don't misunderstand where I am on this. I think he is turning out to be the steal of last year's draft. I think there's going to be maybe 5 rotation players out of all of last year's draft, and there's a real chance he's one of them. And that's pretty fabulous in the 32nd pick of the NBA draft.